Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Oh, you can't hear me. Hold on. Let's see. There we go. Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Mitchke. This is an orientation for our new MSW students, and we will get started in about 3 minutes or so. So before we get started, I'd like for you to verify that you can hear and see me. If you'll click on the chat button on your screen and just type me a message so that I can know that you are getting what I'm saying. Great, I've got a couple of you. Super. The other thing I will say is if you will go ahead and mute your audio during the call, that's probably a good idea in terms of helping to make sure that everyone can see and hear well. It typically helps with our connection speed. We'll be using this chat feature for you to ask questions during the presentation and afterwards. So I'm glad to see that you can all see and hear me. So as I said, we'll get started. We'll give it about 2 more minutes. Looks like somebody is using the whiteboard feature. If that is you, then if you would see if you can erase your lines. I've never had that happen before. Interesting. Okay. All right, we are back in business. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. It's right at 11 o'clock. And I think that we may have a few more people join us. If that's the case, they will be able to catch up as we go along, but I want to be mindful of your time. So this presentation is really designed to introduce you to our program and to give you an idea of what you can expect as you begin the program in January. There will be tons of time at the end to ask questions. I've built in extra time so that, you know, every single person who has a question will be able to have time to ask it and get their question answered. So if you would do me a favor and hold most of your questions until the end, there may be stuff that I cover as we go through that will already answer your question. So I would appreciate that. If at some point you have to leave the call or whatever, know that I'm actually recording this. So I will send you later today, hopefully, if not today, then tomorrow, the recording so that you can have it and watch it again if there's something that you missed. So let's get started. As I said before, my name is Dr. Diane Mitchke, and I am the Director of Graduate Programs here at UTA. And so I am really happy that you have chosen UTA to pursue your master's degree in social work. I think you've made a really good choice. And we'll just go ahead and move on with making sure that you are in the right place. So if you are on this call today, I'm going to assume that you have advanced standing, which means that you have a bachelor's degree in social work, and that you have decided that you want to pursue our online-only cohort program. This is a 12-month program which will have you starting in January of 2019 and graduating in December of 2019. And our courses are set up so that most of them are designed to be 8 weeks, and we call them intensive because you're really focusing on 2 courses at a time. So 2 courses for 8 weeks and then another 2 courses for the second 8 weeks of each semester, and that you are in a cohort model. So if you feel like that these things don't apply to you, you do not have to stay in this orientation. You can send me a private message, and I will get you where you need to be. Otherwise, if this sounds right to you, then we'll just continue with the call. You've chosen direct practice in mental health and substance abuse. This has become our most popular specialty within the past couple of years. We have about equal numbers of students who want to pursue direct practice with children and families and direct practice in mental health and substance abuse. Mental health and substance abuse is a growing field. There's a huge need for social workers who have expertise in treating mental illness and substance abuse disorders. And so there should be no problem with you being able to find a job once you graduate and then kind of work your way up the career ladder, focused on mental health and substance abuse. So I think you've made a great choice. And very forward-thinking choice. This is basically your degree plan. This is kind of what you can expect when you should have gotten this already from your advisor if you've met with your academic advisor. If not, this degree plan is also available on our website. But this is basically your map for the entire duration that you're in the program. So it outlines each course you'll take and the order that you'll take it in. You can see that this spring, as you begin in January, you'll be taking 2 courses the first 8 weeks of the semester. That goes from the beginning of the semester, which I think starts on January 14th, if I'm not mistaken, until the midpoint in the semester, which is right around spring break, so mid-March. And then you'll start your next program. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to move the screen. Sorry, I'm having trouble with this chat feature. Forgive me. Okay, we're back. That you'll start your next 8-week courses the second half, starting like in March. You'll take research, and you'll also take stress, crisis, and coping. You'll then take a course in the May semester or the summer intersession, which is a 2-week intensive course where you'll get your group dynamics content, and that's another. And then you'll move forward in summer. You'll start your field placement, which we'll talk a lot about on this call, and you'll take 2 courses across the duration of the summer. And then finally, you'll be in your final semester, where you'll take 2 more classes in 8-week segments, and then you'll have our capstone integrative seminar class that lasts the whole duration of the fall semester, along with your field placement. So it's going to be really quick. I mean, it's pretty crazy to think you can start the program in January and finish next December. Pretty exciting. It's going to be a lot of work, but I know that you can do it because we can do anything for just a year, right? And we have a number of resources that we have put in place to assist you in making sure that you are successful in the program. And so I'm going to talk about those and make sure that works for you and that you have what you need to be successful. So moving on, after the degree plan, I want to talk about just kind of where we're located. I know that you're online. Some of you are here in the Metroplex and are familiar with the UTA campus, and others of you live all across the state of Texas. And so you may have not even been to Arlington, which is fine. As a master's student in an online program here, you are not required to ever step foot on campus if you don't want to. However, if you find yourself in the area and want to stop by and say hi, I'd love to shake your hand and see your face. I do hope that you will make arrangements to come to campus next December so that I can shake your hand as you walk across the stage for commencement. Our dean is Dean Scott Ryan, and our associate dean is Dr. Deborah Woody, and I already told you that I am Diane Mitchke. And we have Carla Arenas Itosha, who is our point person for our online education. She's kind of your lifeline, and she is here on the call, and she is going to introduce herself to you now.
Hi, everyone. So pretty much as Dr. Mitchke mentioned, your lifeline, if you have any questions or need any support or want to get more involved in the school, or just, concerns, questions just across the board, whether it's at UTA or School of Social Work, sometimes it can be difficult to find someone, the right person to ask the question to. And so what I can do is, if I know the answer, I'm happy to share the answer with you. If I don't know the answer, I'm happy to find the right person to guide you to or get that answer for you. So I'm sort of a one-stop shop for you, just to make sure that you are supported and you have someone to go to and someone that you can be connected through to other people. So that is my role, and I hope to hear from you guys.
Yeah, and you should expect to hear from Carla. She'll be reaching out to you via email. I know that one of the things she's been working on this semester with our current students is to try and find some champions that are interested in really becoming leaders in our online program. And so I'm sure she'll reach out to you in January as you begin your classes to find out if you might want to be a leader in kind of leading efforts to help online students feel more connected.
Exactly. And also, I teach a lot of the online courses, so you may just find that I'm one of your professors.
Great. Thank you so much, Carla. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Okay. So we are going to move on and talk about, hold on, let me see if I can fix this. Okay. So we are going to move forward and talk a little bit about how you can get connected. And one of the ways that you can get connected is by joining us on social media. We are really active on many different platforms. And so one of the things that you can do immediately to kind of just stay in touch with what's happening here at the school is by joining us on social media. You can go to our website and then you can actually go to the bottom of the screen on the first page of the website, and you'll be able to see all these different icons. You can click on them and join us and then start following us on social media and connect that way. You can also download the UTA mobile app to your smartphone. This is just another tool for you to get the latest news about what's happening at UTA now that you're a Maverick. And it kind of updates every day with research that's happening at the university and just events and things that are going on here. As I said before, I think you've made a really good choice in choosing UTA. We are ranked number 22 in the nation for the most affordable MSW programs, and that's something that we are really proud of because we think that keeping our costs down makes us more accessible to a wider range of students. We are also ranked number 1 in Texas for veteran friendliness. We have a whole lot of student veterans here on our campus, as well as active duty military. And so if you are a veteran or in the military or military connected, welcome. We are ranked number 3 among MSW programs across the country by graduateprograms.com. And this is actually a ranking that's specific to our online program, so which you're now a part of. So you've made a really good choice, and we're really proud of those rankings and are working really hard to make sure that we continue to do the very best we can in providing you with an excellent education. So welcome to graduate school. I think, as I said, you've made an excellent choice. I know that when I decided to pursue my MSW, it's one of the best decisions I've ever made, and I've never regretted it. And I hope that, as you begin to familiarize yourself with our program and you start taking some classes in the spring, that you'll feel the same way. We have a number of different support services that are available to you within the School of Social Work. I have a link here you'll see on the screen, and this is a link that will take you to a YouTube video that was created by Ms. Patrice Green, who is our coordinator of advising and student success, where she details the different kinds of services that you have access to as a master's student, and all the things that we've put in place to really support you in your academic journey. And so after the call, at some point later today or tomorrow or in the next couple of weeks, I'd ask that you please watch that video. I have a couple of other videos I'd like you to also watch so that you are ready to go when you start classes in January, and you understand kind of not only what is expected of you, but what you can expect of us in terms of the kind of support that's out there and available to you. Our Advising and Student Success Office is made up of, right now, 3 advisors: Patrice, who I mentioned earlier, Tiara Thomas, and Mauricia Davis. We're adding another advisor come January, Amy Lopez. So if you've already met with your advisor to get registered for classes, that's great. If not, please make sure you reach out to the advising office so that you can get registered for your spring classes. Your advisor may change as we move into the spring semester, simply because we want to make sure that the distribution of students across advisors is equitable. And so since we're adding one more advisor, we'll probably redistribute the student assignments so that Amy has a slate of students also. One of the great things about all of our advisors is, as you can see, they're licensed MSWs. And so they can, in addition to giving you information about registration and what courses to register for, they also can provide some career mentoring. So if you have a question about, or you want to talk through where you see yourself headed in terms of your career path, your advisor is a great resource in terms of talking about their own experience and then your interests and where you might go as your next step after graduation. The Office of Advising is primarily there to help you reach your graduation goals and to provide you with the support that you need in order to do that. We also have a writing resource support coordinator who I'll talk about in a little bit. So that office is really primarily just designed to help you achieve success. I don't want to neglect, though, to mention some of the other university resources we have available to you. And some of those include just accessing from our main university homepage, uta.edu, which you've all visited already. But from this site, you can get access to a number of important things like MyMav, where you'll see your list of classes. You can pay your fees. Your MAV email is accessible from this site up in the top left-hand corner. of the web page. And then I wanted to point out this search bar here. You can basically type anything you need into that search bar, and it's a really powerful search engine. I found that it's really useful in generating exactly what it is that I'm looking for, whether it's an academic calendar with dates, or whether it's, something as simple as finding a map of campus, accessing events on campus, those kinds of things. The School of Social Work webpage is also very important because it's where you can find the MSW program manual, as well as information about deadlines and upcoming dates related to field. We also post a number of research stories that we highlight different research that's happening at the school, and you can get in touch with any of our faculty and staff from this page as well. We will send a message to the listserv about scholarships and scholarships that are available. So, but we'll also post information about scholarships on our website. So you can always go there if you miss the email or something like that. We also have a career development center that is available to you. We have two different kinds of career development centers. One is specific to social work, and that's an online career development center through our webpage, where you can get information about how to craft your resume or CV specific to a particular job posting. We also post external job postings here that are available, and some of those jobs are relevant to students who are currently in the program and are looking for a part-time job that relates to social work. Other postings are more once you're graduating and then looking forward to the future in terms of working as a social worker at the master's level. The university also has a very impressive career development center, which you, of course, have access to as a student. And they will do things like mock interviews. And of course, these are available as a video conference like this, where you can actually meet with one of their staff online and send them a job that you're interested in. Let's say you found a posting as you are getting ready to graduate, and you find a posting and you want to apply for a particular job, and you get an interview set up. Well, you can contact the Career Center and they will do a mock job interview with you, where they will actually ask you questions and pretend like you're interviewing, and then give you some feedback about the way that you handled the interview and tips for what you might do differently or how you might best position yourself to get the job. So I think that students find that to be really helpful. If you have a disability, or you have ever been diagnosed with a learning difference, or have ever in the past needed special accommodations, you need to go to the Student Affairs website and go on to the Office of Students with Disabilities page so that you can get registered for the services that you need. This is really important because I know that a number of students, maybe they've received accommodations in the past in their undergrad, and they think, I don't really need any accommodations, I'm going to be fine. And you very well may be, but I think it's a great idea. And when I talk to the staff in the Office of Students with Disabilities, what they tell me is that it's so much better to be proactive and just go ahead and get registered. And if you decide, what, I don't need to ask for any accommodations, then great. Nobody will ever know. You won't even have to worry about it. But the good thing about pre-registering is that way you're protected should you come into, a particular semester and you find, what, I really do need that extra time on the test. I didn't think I would, but, because of the disability that I have, I really do need that. If you already have those accommodations in place through this office, then it's very easy to go ahead and get those accommodations, as opposed to if you haven't applied and you haven't already had that in place, it's much harder in the middle of the semester to make that happen. So that's just my plea to you in terms of really thinking through the accommodations that you may need. We have some other resources I want to point out. First, the bookstore. I'm going to walk you through how to get your textbooks. And then OIT, or the Office of Information Technology. They can help you if you ever have a problem setting up your email, getting access to MyMav, those kinds of things. They're helpful. They're the ones in charge of passwords and things like that. You can also get free software as a student from OIT. You just need to go and to their website and see what they have available and how you can get it. And they can also, there are instructions on their website for how to get your Maverick email onto your smartphone. If you haven't done that already, I would really strongly encourage you to do that. It's going to be real important that you have easy access to your email moving forward. In terms of finding your own textbooks, if you just go to the bookstore website, uta.edu/bookstore, you'll click on textbooks, and then that will bring you to this screen right here, which shows you the term that you're interested in. So you'll choose spring 2019. And then in the box where it says student ID, you'll enter your 100 number that was given to you when you were admitted to the program. That was on your admission letter. Once you do that, it will take you to a list of all the classes you're registered for the spring semester and the required textbooks for those courses. The bookstore typically has them available used and new and rentable, and you can just buy them directly from the bookstore. You can also, of course, take that ISBN number that's generated and then plug it into whatever source you typically use to buy textbooks. If you want to look and see online if you can find them for cheaper, that's totally fine too. It's really your call. We just want to make sure you get your textbooks. We use Blackboard as our course management system. Most of you have probably used Blackboard or something like it before. It's pretty easy to use. Most students don't have any problem learning how to use it. If you're not familiar with Blackboard, though, I would encourage you to watch a few of the tutorial videos that kind of walk you through what to do on Blackboard, so that you're prepared to start the semester in January and understand how Blackboard works. Most of your classes will look somewhat similar to this, where you have on the left-hand side of your screen a list of different options to navigate your way through the course. And then in the middle of your screen, you should see an announcements panel. And these are simply announcements that your professor will post regarding, date changes or reminders, that sort of thing. So it's important to log in often so that you see, if there are any new announcements or anything has changed about your course. Course materials is really where the bulk of what you'll need in Blackboard is located. So if you click on course materials, it will give you a list of folders which are broken down into either weeks or modules. And these will basically help you navigate your way through each week of the course. So if you drill down a little bit more, you'll see that within each week is a module, and each module has different kinds of content that's broken up by type. So there are readings, and these might be links to readings, or they might even be PDF articles. There are lecture materials. There's links on the web. These might be links to videos or things like that on the web. There's a discussion forum, each module, and then there's also any kind of additional content like quizzes or assignments can be found within the modules as well. So I also just want to reiterate, I know that I've said this already, that you will be able to, you need to check your email daily. You also will be added to a listserv for MSW students where you'll get targeted information that's relevant to you as an MSW student. So you want to make sure to check that regularly. That's where you'll get information, for example, about scholarships, about student organizations, things like that. We have a number of resources available to you to support your writing and your research as MSW students. Dr. Chris Kilgore is our writing resource coordinator. He has his PhD in English, and he is really an expert at all things social work writing related. So I have a link to a video that he's created here that kind of goes through step by step the services that he provides and the kinds of support that he has available to you as master's students. He will do face-to-face meetings. He will do online video conference meetings. He can do email appointments as well, where you send him a draft and he reviews it and gives you feedback. He also has presentations on all of the different writing assignments that we have in the school, and you can access those through his portal on the website. So I would ask, this is another one of the videos that I'd like you to access and watch at some point over the holidays before you start the program, so that you're familiar with these different resources that he provides. The video also includes a presentation by Brooke Troutman, who is our School of Social Work librarian. And she will go through in her presentation and show you how to access the resources that we have available to you from the library online, and show you some of the different databases that you should be familiar with. Okay, and this brings us to field education. And I know many of you probably have questions about what field is going to look like for you as graduate students. All of you with a bachelor's degree in social work have already completed a field placement, so you kind of know what to expect in that sense. I'm going to go over what you can expect from us at the master's level. We really see field as the one of the most important aspects of your MSW education, simply because you are provided a really unique opportunity to get hands-on experience in social work within your interest area, and really practice the skills that you're learning in the classroom, in the field, and get real-time feedback from a licensed social worker in your field of practice, which is just really important in terms of your own personal growth and development as a new social worker. We have our field office is run behind the scenes by our administrative assistant, Andron Williams. You can contact her with any questions about logistics and deadlines and things like that. Her email address is the general field mailbox, sswfield@uta.edu, and that's her phone number. We also are led by an assistant dean of field education, Dr. Donetta Smith, as well as right now we have a field advisor, Natalie Mangham. However, we're in the process of hiring 2 additional field advisors. And so depending on when they come on board, I think they will be on board probably before you start in January. But I don't have their names yet. So the field office will be reaching out to you and letting you know about who your field advisor is and when it's time to apply for field. But that will happen in the spring semester. Field, like all of our courses across the curriculum, is really focused on developing your competence across these 9 core areas. And these are areas that were developed by the Council on Social Work Education as agreed upon areas that all social workers across the United States who graduate from a school of social work should develop expertise and competence across the curriculum in these different areas. And so your field practice and your field experience will really focus on helping you to develop competence in each of these areas during your placement. It's important to remember that, field is going to require a lot of you time-wise, and that I know that many of you may be working full-time or part-time and have other responsibilities. So it's really important to start thinking right now about how you're going to manage field in your life. You'll be entering field starting your placement in the summer semester, and then you'll continue it into the fall. So it's important to think about, if you are working full-time, what are some of those things that you can do now to think forward? So can you talk with your boss, your manager, about what field will require of you and how you'll manage to make that work and maintain your employment? Can you talk about banking vacation time and using some vacation time during your field placement to be able to complete your hours? All of those things are conversations you should start having now so that you're prepared. I know that many of you might hope to do your placement on evenings or on weekends, and while there are some placements that will allow for that, almost every single placement is going to require you to be there in person at least some portion of a general work day for supervision and for meeting with other staff and things like that. So it's just something to keep in mind as you're moving forward. I can't say it enough. You've got to check your MAVS email, because that's how the field office is going to communicate with you about your match and about, what you can expect in terms of moving forward through the program. So you've got to check that often, because just saying you forgot to check your email is not a good reason to miss your placement. You have to have a GPA of a 3.0 or better when you apply for field courses. So for you guys, since you'll be starting field in the summer, you're going to apply for field in the spring semester, probably sometime in February. You'll see an email that will come out and tell you that the field application window is open. Obviously, at that point, you're not going to have a GPA because you'll have just started the program. What this means, though, is that at the end of the spring semester, when your grades post for the spring, you have to have a 3.0 or better, or you won't be able to enter field in the summer. And basically, just so that you know, a 3.0 is really what you need to have to maintain good standing in the program. And a 3.0 is a B average. We would like you to get A's and B's in your courses. If you get a C in a course, you'll have to pair it with an A so that you get back to that 3.0 GPA overall. So just be cognizant of that. Since you're mental health and substance abuse and you're coming in with advanced standing, you have already completed your foundation field placement, and so you'll be starting on your advanced field placement, which will be specific to mental health and substance abuse. And you'll be ready to do that again in the summer semester, because you will have completed your advanced micro practice class and your direct practice and mental health class. Your advanced field placement involves completing a minimum of 480 hours across 2 semesters, so 240 each semester. That means that you'll apply for You'll enroll in field in both the summer and in the fall semester, and those course numbers are listed here. It comes out to about 16 hours a week in the field. It may be a little bit more in the summer since the summer semester is shorter than the fall. Um, a very small percentage of our students choose to do a block placement. A block placement means that you would complete all 480 hours in one semester. Most students don't really use this option, though it is available, because it means that you're in field for about 32 hours a week, and most students feel like that's just too much to take on with everything else they have going on in their lives. If you want to talk with your advisor about whether block might be an option for you, I would encourage you to do that, just so that you go in with your eyes wide open and know kind of what block would involve. Applying for field, as I said, you'll get an email in the spring about the application window being open. The application system is called Sonia, and you'll fill out the sections of the application, and then once you've finished filling it out, you'll hit submit. And then it will be reviewed to make sure that you didn't forget anything and that everything was accurate. You'll also have to purchase liability insurance. Probably you're familiar with this already. You probably had to do this as an undergrad. This basically just protects you should there be a lawsuit while you're in your placement. Most field professional liability insurance policies cost between $30 and $50, and they're good for a year. So you'll want your policy to start in June, and it will take you all the way to the following June. Okay, let's see. So your match. The process is a little bit different depending on if you live in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex or if you live outside of the Metroplex. So if you live inside the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, the field office will look at their list of all of the agencies they have and then look at the requests that you have put in on your application and see if they can find you a suitable match. And facilitate that process. If you live outside of the Metroplex, depending on where you live, the process may look different. So if you live in a big city, in a city that we have a number of established placements already, then you may be able to choose from a placement where we already have a partnership agreement. We have a list of those placements on the field website, so you can take a look at those, or you can email the field department to get that list. If you live in an area where we don't have a bunch of established placements, or you just want a different placement than the ones that we have available, then you have the responsibility and the opportunity to find a placement that's suitable to you. And so we have materials on the field website about how to determine if an agency might be a good fit, the kind of criteria that we use to decide if the agency would be a good match. And then we have scripts available, a script where it gives you line for line what you should ask a field placement when you call them, how you can introduce what you're proposing, and then what are the steps that would need to happen to get that agency affiliated so that you can do your placement there. Your field advisor will be really helpful in the process of finding a placement, but you might start looking now just in terms of finding out what agencies are available in your area and which ones are staffed by master's level social workers, so that you just kind of get an idea of what's out there at this point. You're mental health students, and that means that you may need to go through some additional requirements in order to start your placement, depending on where you're placed. So especially in inpatient mental health facilities or mental health units of hospitals, there are some additional requirements that I've listed here on the screen. These are basically to protect you and also to protect the patients at the hospital. So things like CPR, a TB skin test, some of them require a drug panel, different things like that that will be required by your individual placement in order for you to be approved to start your placement. But we'll walk you through that process. The field office is really good about helping you make sure you have all of those things in order and make sure that you have the information you need to be able to start field on time at your placement, depending on what their requirements are. You'll be assigned a field liaison. This is basically your instructor at UTA who will be your advocate as you do your placement. And this person will help navigate any kind of conflicts that arise with your placement, as well as just helping you kind of go through the process of the midterm and the final evaluation and making sure everything's going smoothly. If you do find that you have a problem while you're in your placement, your first point of contact is, of course, your field instructor. That's the person who's employed by the agency that is supervising you. If it's a conflict, though, with your field instructor, you may need to involve your liaison. That's the person who is your instructor from UTA's point of view. So your person that is your advocate. After that point, if you continue to have a problem, you would reach out to your field advisor. And then finally, you would reach out to the Assistant Dean of Field Education, Dr. Smith, if the problem continues. Your responsibility is to abide by the Code of Ethics, which you all are familiar with a BSW. You need to accept supervision and feedback from the field instructor and the people at the agency who are trying to teach you. That you'll follow that hierarchy that I just talked about, and that you'll complete timesheets and supervision logs and submit them to your field liaison. All of the important dates associated with field are available on the School of Social Work website under the field menu. There's a calendar that has all of the dates that you need to know about when the application window opens and closes, when you can start your placement. We will also be having a field orientation for students in the spring. So you can mark your calendars for either January 9th or February 20th. Those will be live streamed. So there'll be face-to-face students in those orientations, and there'll be live stream sessions so that all of our online students can also participate. And you'll get more detailed information about field and how to apply for field at that time. That brings us to a quick discussion of licensing. When you graduate from the MSW program, you'll graduate with a degree in social work, an MSW degree. But you will also be eligible to take a licensing exam. And the licensing exam that you'll be eligible to take once you graduate is the LMSW. You can apply to take that exam during your final semester. So next fall, you can apply to the state board to sit for that exam. And then once you receive your final transcript, if you've passed the exam, they will issue you your license and you'll be a licensed social worker at the MSW level. Some students decide that they want to go ahead and pursue the LCSW, which is the next level of licensure. That can happen after you get your LMSW, and then you are working in a position that qualifies as clinical social work, and you have a supervisor that agrees to supervise you for at least 4 hours monthly to talk about the cases you're seeing. It requires a minimum of 3,000 hours of supervised social work experience, which is the equivalent of about 24 months of full-time employment. So depending on where your career takes you and whether or not the LCSW is something you'd like to pursue, is not really something you need to decide at this point or even when you graduate. But for those of you who are interested in diagnosing and treating mental illness and want to work, for example, in an in or outpatient mental health facility, the LCSW is the license that you will eventually need to be able to do that independently. We encourage you to get involved in research once you're a master's student. We have a number of different opportunities for that. We have formal graduate research assistantships, which are paid positions where you work for 10 hours a week or sometimes even 20 hours a week, depending on your schedule, for a faculty member who has grant funding to support employing you on their research study. We also have the option for you to complete a thesis, which would be you generating your own research proposal and pairing up with a faculty member who will walk you through the process of doing a research study and being able to write up the results of that study in a formal way. That would, if you choose the thesis, that would take the place of your integrative seminar class, which is the class you take your last semester. And you would just need to let your advisor know that that's something that you're thinking about doing. Probably I would let your advisor know in the spring semester that that's something that you would like to talk more about. If you have more questions or want to get involved in any way with research, I would encourage you to contact Dr. Holly Slater in the Office of Research, and her email address is listed on the screen. Looking ahead, after you finish your MSW, you may decide that you are wanting to pursue additional education in social work, and you have two options at that point. One is a PhD, which would prepare you to be a faculty member at a school of social work and do research, primarily research focused doctorate. The other option would be for you to pursue a DSW, which is a doctorate of social work or a practice doctorate, where you're wanting to develop to get a doctorate in clinical practice and really become an expert in clinical practice. Certainly, neither of these. Many students choose to end their educational career at the MSW, and that's great, but I know that some of you might be interested in pursuing even more once you finish the MSW, and I just wanted to throw those out as possible options for you in the future to keep in mind. We've got a whole bunch of organizations. These are a few. We've added 4 more just this fall semester. We have an organization that's specific to African American students. We have another organization that is focused on social work and spirituality. And let me think. We've got, I think, 2 additional. So there are lots of opportunities for you to be involved in the school and with other students. And most of these organizations have really great networking opportunities. They live stream all of their meetings, and they have both face-to-face members attend as well as online members that attend their meetings and contribute to the organization. So if that's something you'd like to participate in, I would encourage you to get involved. There will be emails that go out early in the spring semester with information about how to join and also information about the first meetings of the spring semester in case you want to attend. Finally, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page in terms of professional communication. Much of your communication that you do in the program will be done via discussion boards and emails. And I just want us to all be aware that, you know, sometimes when we're talking about difficult things, when we're talking about, you know, issues that are sometimes controversial, we do that a lot in social work, and those can get heated. Those discussions can get kind of uncomfortable. So I would just encourage you to keep in mind, you know, the fact that it's important to use restraint in your communication. Don't Make sure that when you're sending an email, you reread it a couple of times and think about whether or not it's something you would say to a person if they were standing in front of you. And if it's not, then maybe you should rethink how you want to phrase your email, because sometimes we can get kind of caught up in the moment. And once you send that email, it's done. So it's just a reminder, no matter if you're talking to another student, if you're talking to one of your instructors, your advisors, whatever, just make sure you carry yourself as a professional in all the kinds of communication that you do. This is my name and contact information. You've heard a lot from me already today. You've gotten emails, I think, from Ginger Jackson, who gave you the link to join this conference today. And her contact information is there on the screen. And I would just let you know that I have an open door policy, a virtual open door policy. So if you ever have an issue or a question, please reach out to me and ask me. If you're struggling in the program, if you need some help, I would just ask that you reach out and ask for that help, and let me help you get the help that you need to be successful. It is my goal to meet and see each of you as you walk across the stage at graduation. And so I really want you all to be successful so that I can do that next December. So at this point, that's it for my formal presentation. I'd like to open up the floor to you guys. If there are questions that have come up for you as I've been talking, please just ask away on the chat. You can type your question into the chat, and then I will answer it for the whole group. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to think about any questions that you might have. Anybody? Sometimes it takes a little bit, so bear with me for just a second. Okay, Megan says, are lectures recorded? Are we expected to always be logged in to participate in them? So that's a great question, Megan. And actually, one of the things that I want to make sure that you understand is that our online program is what we call asynchronous. And what that means is that we understand that you all have different schedules, that you all have different responsibilities. And so you are not expected to log into your class at a particular day and time each week. The lectures will be, all of the material will be accessible to you throughout the week so that you can figure out when it's the best time for you to access that material. The other thing I will say, a few of your classes may actually have group projects, and those group projects, you know, you could be in a group with people from across the state of Texas. Depending on, you know, how your group works and how your group functions, you all as a small group may decide, you know, hey, we want to all get together and live chat about our project at a particular day and time. So that may be the case where you might meet with your group as long as you all agree on a particular time that works for all of you. Your professor may also have like live office hours where they will say, hey, I will be online, available to you, for this, between, let's say, 5 and 7 on Wednesday evening. And you as a student have the opportunity then to log in and talk with your instructor about any questions that you have at that time, but it won't be required. It won't be like, oh, if you don't show up on Wednesday between 5 and 7, then, there's some kind of penalty. So hopefully that answers your question. Sophia says, if we work for an agency that provides liability insurance, could we use the one our job has for us? Maybe. That is a great question for the field office, because I am not sure. They would probably have a better answer for you in terms of what our legal department requires and whether your liability insurance that you currently have through your employer could cover you for a field placement. I'm not sure. My gut is saying probably not. You would probably have to buy an additional policy that's specific to your internship, but I could be wrong. So I'm not totally sure. To get a better answer, I would email the field department at sswfield@uta.edu. Let's see. I'm concerned about money, as many people are. I've heard there are not as many financial aid rewards for graduate students. Do you have any hints on how to afford all this in a smoother way? And do you know how much assistance is given? So we have scholarships that are available in the fall and spring semester. We have many more scholarships actually for master's students at the school level than we do for bachelor's students. So that's one that's one thing I will say. As far as there not being as much financial aid for graduate students, I would not say that that's the case in my experience. Our master's students are able to get the same kinds of loans that our bachelor students are. But what I would really strongly encourage you to do is to reach out to our Office of Financial Aid at the university and meet with a counselor, either virtually or via email, to talk about your concerns and to figure out what we can do creatively to help you meet your financial obligations. We do have a limited number of paid positions here in the school that are available, of course, to online students as well as face-to-face students. So that may be another option to kind of supplement your income while you're here. But again, the best people to talk to about that would be the counselors in our financial aid office. Let's see. Are we required to go to a testing center to have our exams proctored? No, absolutely not. Your exams will be given within your learning management system. So like I said, at this point, we're using Blackboard. So you would take your exam online using Blackboard. Depending on the class, sometimes there are different things that your instructor will put in place to make sure that you're not tempted to cheat, for example. So, sometimes they will use something called a lockdown browser, which means that once you open up the test on your computer, you won't be able to do anything else except for take that test. You won't be able to, for example, browse other websites or things like that. It just depends on the class. Some professors do that. Some professors say, you know what, you have X amount of time to take this test, and you're welcome to use your textbook or whatever resources you have available to you, except for, other students in the class. And so, it's just kind of up to the individual instructor, but at no point will you ever have to go to a testing center to take any test for a class. Other questions? I don't see any more at this point. All right, so I'm going to assume that your questions were answered, or that if you have a question that you'll reach out to me via email, and I will get back to you with an answer. I just want to reiterate how thankful I am that you participated in this call today, but also more importantly that you've chosen UTA to pursue your master's degree. I'm really proud of our program. I think that you're going to really enjoy it and be glad that you chose us. Um, just know that, if you have any problems or any questions, I am available to you. We have a whole host of people that are here to support you in your journey in graduate school. So thank you for participating. Thank you for being a student in our spring cohort. And I hope that you have a wonderful holiday season. And I look forward to getting to know you in the spring semester. Thanks, everybody.